is the Sacred Business Podcast, a show for spiritual women identifying entrepreneurs and leaders. I am Sora Suriano. On this show, you'll meet inspiring guests, get some business tips, experience sacred practices, and listen to my personal lessons as a business owner. As a transformational business coach, powerful medicine woman, inspirational speaker, fire igniter, heart whisperer, and world traveler, I've helped hundreds of women around the world heal their stories and transform their sacred businesses. It's time for us to claim our rightful and equitable place in entrepreneurship through scaling our business efforts. You are worthy, divine sister. This is episode 20 with Sarah Durham Wilson. Now, ladies, if you have not heard of Sarah and have not been following her work, please do so, because it is potent medicine that pierces through the darkness of any internal void that you have and opens yourself and awakens yourself into this profound new understanding of who you are. Sarah Durham Wilson is a women's writer and leader. Once a rock journalist in New York City and L.A., her Saturn Return viscerally ended one life and began another, one devoted wholly to feminine wisdom. A teacher and retreat leader, she's journeyed thousands of women through witch awakenings onto the Priestess Path. She now is devoted to leading the collective Wounded Maiden Feminine across the archetypal bridge to healthy mother. Hey there, Sarah.
Hi. Sorry, I was drinking my calming tea. Hi.
Absolutely. I think it's very important for us to always be hydrated. I actually don't do that enough. Do you?
No. And I posted this sort of raw picture of myself the other day. And there was like, you know how there's like 100 nice comments, and then there's that one shitty one that you just like chew on. And she was like, you need to maintain your hydration better. And I was like, be a single mother of a toddler and get back to me, but probably you're right. Thanks for the reminder.
Oh my goodness, seriously. I mean, I find that most people have a hard time with hydration. Come on, if we're being really truthful. The amount of water we're supposed to drink is absolutely insane.
I know, like bathtubs of it all day long.
Seriously. So. I already have a small bladder to begin with. So
Me too.
It's quite a problem.
A lot of work. Yeah.
It is. We're just supposed to work on ourselves all the time. Damn it, Sarah.
Yes, we are. And I just sort of like pick my things and I do those. And I know there's a million other things I'm supposed to be doing, but I pat my back on the things that I do well, you know?
Yes. So based on that, I have a question, which is, has there been a time, and there might have been multiple, but maybe a story you can share where you were really consumed with all the spiritual practices?
Oh, sure. I have like lots of little sayings on the Maiden to Mother Bridge. And one of them is the maiden practices magic. The mother is magic. At first I was like practicing spells all the time. I had like piles and piles of books. And I was so thirsty after my goddess awakening for the medicine of these books, that had been hidden. It was like finding like the Dead Sea Scrolls or something. Yeah. Like, where has this all fucking been? And just like devouring them, practicing spells constantly. And then like in my earlier courses and stuff, a lot of like memorization of all those things, because I was so programmed by my schooling that I had to like memorize things and learn. And then the Priestess Path really took over, where suddenly everything was just in the library of my bones, and it was my own wisdom,
Yes.
And a lot of I was always naturally drawn to my ancestry of Celtic and Norwegian spells and rituals. But when you really dive in, it's all in your body. At what, everything is remembered, pieced back together from when you kind of cut the cord from all of that and just remember, for yourself.
Absolutely. I love that phrase that you just said and captured. I mean, I think you're such a weaver of words to begin with, but library of my bones. Love that.
Yeah. Thanks. I thought you were going to say cut the cords from, and I'm like, oh, everybody says that.
The library of my bones, though, is a good one. I could really energetically feel that. Can you share a little bit about when you started to feel this love for words and weaving words together to create the magic?
Oh, these are such cool questions. Thank you for these questions. I've always loved words, but it was after my goddess awakening in 2011 when sort of her etymology, like when she had all these codes and words started to appear to me. And like when my awakening was so intense that at first, like everything in my head just like rhymed all the time, because that's like, if you read like old, spells, there's so much rhyme.
Yes.
And so lyrical. And even my writing now, like just like starts like barfing out rhyme. Like I can't help it, and like I'm working on a book and my editor's like, you just can't help it, can you? And I really can't, because, my writing is from source. And, when I tap into source, and that's just how it comes out. I think she likes to sort of sing things into being, and, so I guess my love for the goddess was that's where my love for words was really truly born. And then of course the idea that words are spells, and I sort of noticed that happening, then my words would become, my writing was sort of like these old incantations of like spell work, does that answer your question?
It does. And I really do believe that. If you, for the audience members and those that are listening, if you have not read any words by Sarah, it is a must, because it does go deep into your bones, into your cells, and they unlock these places of memories and understanding, and even not from like the head space. It all comes from it comes into me from my heart space. And I absolutely adore it.
Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, I really resonate with your energy. And I think finally kind of like choosing myself the way I have on the path of mother. I'm more because that's the work, is to become our true selves on the path of mother. And the closer I am to me, the more, I don't know, something is changing with my writing. It's finding the people that it wants, and like your warrior energy. It's like, that's what my writing is, like a call to arms, and
I can feel it. Everything in me loves it. Yes.
I'm like, I am done with the like flowy pretty, like that's all our programming, it's still, I mean, I hope I'm not offending anybody, but like, it's just not getting us anywhere, like some of it's still like playing dress up, and that's a privilege, Yeah. We don't have time to like, I'm in a place of fuck pretty, you know what I mean? Like I'm done with pretty. I'm into inner beauty, but that's about acting with courage, like Rilke says. And so fuck pretty, find your beauty, and that's
another great one. And that's your soul. Yes. That is your soul. Your soul does. I do find, as I continue to open to expressing myself and using words as my almost like weapon of choice, right? Like my sword.
Yes.
I'm
like
honoring, and I'm honoring the fact that I do have words. Whereas before my story was, I'm not a writer. I don't know how to weave words together.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. And so it's been really powerful to shift that from this idea around it needs to be pretty, like grammatically correct and precise and, all of that, to what does my soul want to say? And once I started to open up to that, I realized, oh, I can do this. I have, because I'm channeling it through source in my own way. It has its own vibration. So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. What a cage it is, to think it has to be a certain way.
Yeah.
Like we said on Instagram to each other the other day, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think there's a place here to share a little bit about your work around maiden into mother. So maiden to mother bridge. Can you share a little bit about I know you can go on forever. So just a little bit around the maiden versus the mother, because I have a follow-up question to that.
Okay. I'm going to try to stay in the moment. So a few years back, I realized I was like really stuck and I couldn't evolve into a woman. I was a little girl in a woman's body, and I was petrified, terrified, fragile, needy, dependent, externally obsessed, internally atrophied, seeking outside for strength and protection, and without inner reliance, without power. And I knew there was something missing. I couldn't figure out how to grow the fuck up. And I begged Goddess to put me on the path to mother, to woman. And she did.
And she did.
And so obstacle after obstacle, after storm, after fire, I walked until I realized I was strong as fuck. And that that was the path. And
Yes.
Now I am self-reliant, sovereign, and on the path of self-actualization, and offering my soul gift to the world, which is to become the mother to the world. You know, you're seated with a gift from Goddess, and to birth that gift is to offer that child to the world, that seed of hope, as mother. And
I love that.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can address what people may think of when they think of the energy of mother, and what actually is mother.
Well, again, there's this idea of like, you know, there has to be a woman that has birthed a child, or is birthing a child, and it's archetypal. My lineage is Celtic and Scandinavian, and Celtic. The Celtic life path, the feminine path for women. These rites of passages is maiden to mother to crone. Maiden for me is, you know, archetypally, it is the spring of our lives, the new moon of our lives, the bud pushing up through the dark earth, the flowers bud. And mother is the full bloom, the full moon, the summer, the glory of our lives in our fullest power. And then crone is the waning moon, the fall, the winter, and the flower returning slowly back to the earth. And so it's an hour, a time in your life.
Yeah.
Archetypally.
And I love the idea of it's the fullness of your power. So a lot of the times I think women use the word mother or mothering in a way that is overly giving, not having the boundaries, feeling like there's no time. And there's all of this stuff that's around it, giving to others before themselves. And that might be some of the shadow qualities of the mother or some realities of the mother, but it's not the fullness of the archetype of the mother, right?
No, think about the tree, deeply rooted into source, her strong tendrils spiraling all the way down to the womb of the great mother. And the deeper she roots, the more she can just naturally offer. And then she's always rooted to source. She's always pulling up from that, you know, ever full mother well within. She is, and just think of the rose blasted open with the boundaries of the thorns. You know, it's a deep place of sovereignty and self-nurturing and self-care, which is always self-fulfilled first.
Yes.
In order to be that warrior mother that can protect and serve. She must serve herself first. Without her, we die. She knows that our life depends on her life. And so she must tend to her mother well in order to give life.
Beautiful. Based on that, can you share a little bit around how you and your business were in the maiden phase and how you and your business have shifted to being a mother.
Well, we are not there yet because even when you say business, I'm like, oh, what? Me, blushing maiden.
There we go. Okay. Explain.
And it is time. It is time. So, maiden is still kind of quivering behind, but away from the fight, away from the battle. And I'm in a battle of self-advocacy, self-worth. And I've moved past many very gnarly stages of that into, wait, I am worth something. That's not in question anymore. Now I have to stand up and receive it, demand it and receive it.
Yes.
So, like, I'm the worst. Like last week, people were like trying to pay me and I'm like, oh, it's okay. I mean, and I'm like, who's talking? Oh, the maiden.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, there's places, there's always places for growth, and that's mine. So yeah.
I love that.
But I'm not, the maiden tries on so many masks and so many roles, and the mother, that bud has shattered open those masks and that armor. That full bloom is the soul bloom in the world. And that's this work for me. So that part is mother, all mother. There's nothing of anybody else on me except, I nourish from the soil of, Marion Woodman and people like that. But, but this work is bone work, bone wisdom of my own. Yeah. The ashes of my former self.
I find that you are so deeply reflective and aware of what you are navigating. And I'm wondering, with you also having a full life, how do you tap into source? How is the goddess moving through you each and every day? Just so that others who are listening saying, how is she expressing herself in this way, get a little taste of your connection and what you do to really allow the connection to be strong.
I guess that reminds me that, I really had to stop trying to be normal, because that was a really painful bud I was trying to fit into, and where I couldn't just, and I know so many of my students still have one foot on normal and the other bridge in the soul world. And I just leapt, I just couldn't take the pain anymore of not being one with the goddess. And so, my life, I think about her all the time. She's my mother. I connect with, I do extensive work with women to raise their inner mother, which is connection to Great Ma, connection of intuition as the mother voice inside of us. But every single morning without fail, I sit at my altar, and at night I leave this jar full of water with this sort of sword-like piece of rose quartz in it, and it sits under, the windowsill. And I asked Freya, my goddess, to charge it with the energy I'm going to need in the morning, whatever she needs to give me. And in the morning, I close my eyes and I connect with her in a very certain space that I see us together. And she tells me what I need for the day. And then I drink and I charge the water with that. Which is usually just more GD strength. And then I drink that. And I usually pull runes. I've been playing around a little bit with tarot, but I'm a rune witch, and
yes.
I've been reading them since I was a girl. And and then I talk to her all the time in my head, and
Absolutely. So, I think that's there's a I don't know even the words, but the remembering that what is normal, like what does that even mean? And yet we try to put ourselves into this box of normal, and it makes no sense to me now, not before.
Right.
And so, I mean, most of the time I find I am me. And I guess in that way, I create what is normal for myself. And in the normal, there's extraordinary things that happen. And so thank you for sharing just a little insight, a little window into the world and the sacred practices that you incorporate in your life.
Well, I think it's important to understand that I refuse to accept the nightmare that patriarchy is presenting us. I refuse anymore to be impressionable to that, to the point that it brings me into constant terror and scarcity. Mm-hmm. And I refuse to let that, poison the soil of my body anymore. And my work, your work, our work as mother is to dream the new dream inside of us for a just and safe and beautiful world, and to impress that dream, let it grow so full in our bodies, impress that dream on the world. I'm the maiden is impressionable with this. Half of my students are just so fucking terrified they can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
And the mother impresses the new dream, the seeds of hope, the new vision onto the world. And you have to get a really strong container for that and hold it. But I refuse this fucking nightmare they've presented us with. I don't know if that ties into what you're saying.
It does. And the other thing that comes up for me is, based on your studies of life that you've experienced yourself, based on your students, I'm wondering if there's anything that you can share around your insights around these fears that just freeze women into being and not actually moving forward into embodiment of the fullness of their essence. What have you noticed being a listener and a carrier of medicine yourself?
There's the handless maiden who can feel but not act. She literally has no hands, so she can only feel and not act. And that's what these women are, such beautiful feelers. They feel themselves into 3-week depressions in bed,
Yes.
I mean, if you really, and then there's the men that can act but not feel, there's the masculine that can act and not feel. And, they're just as fucked by patriarchy as we are. And then, but there's, the men are like, I have to fight and act. And the women are like, I have to feel and I have to cry and cower. And it's like, just like I was writing about yesterday, it's like, you got told you were the princess, but you're actually the knight. And this is now your fight. This is our fight. For me, this is everyone's fight, but it's the feminine's fight, because they feel so much. They have let their hearts break. And if they acted in courage as mothers to the world crying out for its mothers, if they could rise in the name of the mother with all that pain inside of them, with a sword of fire to protect the sacred, we would be in a different space right now. So you're not a fucking princess, you're a brave knight. And this is our hour to fight.
Absolutely.
So whatever breaks your heart the most, like Andrew Harvey says, move towards that, but act. And you have to have courage to act. You have to have confidence to act. You have to be self-reliant to act. And so most of my girls right now are, dealing with addiction and stuff, because they're just looking for an escape. They're looking for the mother outside of themselves. They need to find the mother inside. And let me tell a sister who knows, the great mother is a warrior.
Yes, she is.
So when they find that, we'll all heal. That's what I believe. And so that's my mission, because when these women meet this mother in them, they aren't afraid anymore. I mean, we have bouts of it, but it's not leaving us helpless. We become the helpers.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you can share a time when you made a powerful choice that shifted the trajectory of where you were heading.
When I chose, because the owl is hooting out my window, so I have to be careful with my words. Gosh, she's loud.
Let us honor that. Yes.
I have to honor that, Sarah.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer that I feel free to talk about right now.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Based on even feeling that, what does your heart want to share?
Jeez, I wish you could hear it. She's like on one.
I can feel it and see it. And our listeners, let's allow them to maybe hear some of the words that come through from your heart space.
No, it's just like this owl. Like it's like she's like at my door. I guess she wants to talk.
Yes.
The wise woman in us that remembers everything, that knows everything we need to know. If we just, oh my gosh, do you hear that?
I don't. I wish I could.
If we just get, of course it's on with you. It's crazy. If we just get quiet enough, to, I'm so distracted. Okay. What's on my heart? I guess it's what I've been feeling recently is this might not be very popular, but I guess that I'm really kind of letting all that go. This is a huge stripping away for me of, this idea of the goddess that we have to be pretty and in these long, flowing gowns and I think I think everyone was doing their best in this movement. We were waking up to the goddess. There's no framework for how to do this, but we were still playing in so much to what patriarchy wanted us to do, which was to be pretty and nice. And I think that a big part of this awakening into mother is when you integrate the maiden, or sometimes I call it the death of the maiden, is to let go of the good little girl. She's not going to get us across the threshold that we need individually and collectively. We need you to be brave and strong. And the good little girl is so obsessed with pleasing and looking pretty and being polite and saying the right thing that she's actually poisonous. She's killing her. Terry Tempest Williams says to ignore the intuition, which is for me the great mother, is to die a slow death. And for me, like the women that stay the good little girl throughout their lives is one of the greatest tragedies of the feminine. And so I guess if you could take a risk every day to be brave in some way, and it becomes like it's a muscle, our strength. And then one day you just are strong. But if you say yes to this initiation, know that these trials are in your service to show you how brave and strong you naturally, truly are. We've been in these petrified bubbles of good little girl and terror, and it's an illusion that you're weak. And I'd love for you to break that glass and recognize yourself as heroine. I'd love for you to start seeing yourself as in this great battle for this great, beautiful world and our children's future and the beautiful species and animals and air and oceans upon it. I'd love for you to rise in the name of the divine feminine as her warrior. And that's going to take strength and power. But not only is that a gift to the world, it's a gift to yourself. I guess that's all I'd want to say.
I would say that isn't just all. That is powerful and deeply felt. Deeply felt. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that and what's on your heart. Yeah. And from my end, when you were saying that, a series of fire trucks went by and there was these alarms ringing, and it just felt like the warrior's call. So I just wanted to share that as well as you were sharing.
Oh, I can't believe that. Like there was like an owl and alarms, like so funny. Yeah. I mean, it is, the sirens call.
It is the third soul.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one last thing we can touch upon before we close is I find that the more I am present within my sovereignty, do I really, really see all of the messages that are blatantly in front of me? Do you find your messages so clear?
That's one of the things I was going to say, and I got so distracted by Mama Owl, is that when I started listening to the soul call, which is part of the path, to drown out the outside voices so that the inner voice becomes so clear, as scary as that can be. It's like taking training wheels off a bike or something, and just riding free. And I asked her for signs in the dark, and she started laying these falcon feathers in certain places on my journey. And
Wow.
And they would show up at the, times when I'd be like, fuck, I'm lost. And then I'd end up in an Airbnb in New Mexico, and I'd look up in the window of the kitchen and there was a huge falcon feather. Or I'd be on a walk somewhere and there'd be and they're not common, or a hawk feather. And these, and those are Freya's feathers. They're her cloak she wears a cloak of falcon and hawk feathers. And she was with me, and so I think, ask for signs, but you don't get to ignore them when they come. But asking for signs, it's like Spirit is always talking to us. We just have to listen. So I definitely say yes to that. And she's now changed them into heart rocks, which is beautiful. And just to keep walking,
Yeah. Keep walking. That is what we shall end with for each of us. Keep walking. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sora. It was a deep pleasure.
Oh, it was my pleasure to sit here in sacred space with you. I could
and Mama Owl, she's like, do not forget me.
Yes,
I'm right here.
Mama Owl, the goddess.
Deep wisdom in the dark. She will guide you. Definitely, Mama Owl. So that's such a deep symbol of feminine intuition that came to our little meeting today.
Absolutely, and we shall hold that sacred in this. I'll have to remember to find a picture of an owl and have that be part of the share when we have this go live.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Laura.
Excellent. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, I got to go see this owl. Blessings.
Thanks for listening to the Sacred Business Podcast with me, Sora Suryano. If you love the show and desire to know more, check out sorasuryano.com. I would also so appreciate it if you would leave a love note, aka a review on iTunes. Now, remember, you have the power to create anything. You are able to bring forth beauty, abundance, and grace in your business and life every day while living a life that is wild, free, and calm. You are worthy, Divine Sister.